Welcome to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast with Janis R. Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as the angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis R. Cohen.
Hey y'all, this is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist here on the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. Well, I want to welcome you back to another week. And as you know, my intention is to be your guide on this journey of personal and spiritual growth. Now, today's episode is called What to Expect When You're Expanding, spiritually, emotionally, and energetically. So if you're here, chances are that you're in the process of some big change or a bunch of big changes. I know I am. And if you're waking up to a deeper truth, then you have to understand that you're stepping into the next level of yourself. And let's face it, growth, it's not all rainbows and butterflies. It's messy, uncomfortable, and downright confusing at times. In fact, this morning, I was talking with my husband, and I'm going through a lot. And I know what it's for. I know I'm going to get on the other side of it, but it's all spiritual growth. And it's hard and it's tough. And I'm having to look at things and I'm having to let go of things and I'm having to redefine who I am and figure out who I am in a different way. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I've been here before and I know that there's beauty on the other side of it. So it's not fun. But when you do the work, the outcome is profound. So today, I wanted to dive into kind of helping you listeners understand what the actual symptoms are of spiritual expansion. Because I think most people go through, unless you're around somebody who is clued in. It's funny because my husband wasn't aware of a lot of these things that he was experiencing, that they were actually spiritual experiences. Whether he was unfamiliar with astrology or moonology or spiritual growth. Like, he's learned a lot from being married to me in that respect. I mean, I've learned a lot from him by being married to him, and that's a whole nother conversation. And I just might actually have him on so we can talk to y'all about how we have learned from each other and grown. But until he realized that whether it was his lack of sleep or a mood or how the astrological alignment is impacting him, he was just kind of figuring out, well, this is just whether it's a shit day or a tough day or that I'm feeling weird or I'm not even going to look at any of this. It's been a beautiful education for him. So what I've taught him is that there are actual symptoms of spiritual expansion. And the reason why I want to share this with you today is because I want you to be able to have like a baseline so that when you experience atypical emotions, atypical physical symptoms, where your gut is saying, God, I don't know if this is a real cold or not. Let me lean into my body and see what it wants to tell me. I want to help you understand what all that means and how to discern between, what's kind of like a cold, for example, or ascension symptoms. So I want to help you understand what they mean and how you can navigate them with more grace and ease and actual understanding. I know that when I finally learned about ascension symptoms, excuse me, it made a whole lot more sense what I was experiencing. And so now when things happen in my body, I'm like, this has gotten worse. Let me kind of do some research about the spiritual meaning of this body part hurting, like an ankle or my wrist or my back or my head. Your body is a temple. Your body is this amazing communication system that will always tell you what's going on with you. Always, always, always. So it's very exciting to me to talk about all this stuff. So I want to kind of allow you and help you lean into this whole concept of spiritual expansion and ascension symptoms by just taking a very nice, deep, grounding breath in through your nose to the count of 4, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. And slowly exhale through your mouth the count of 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And just notice breath through this entire podcast. Just notice your breath. That's it. And just listen to me. So, spiritual expansion is the process of shedding old layers of your identity, of your beliefs, and limitations to step into your higher self. And you might also have heard the term your highest timeline. Okay, it's the same thing. Your highest self functions on your highest timeline. It's your job to be able to become who you need to become to align with your highest timeline self. So it's not just about gaining spiritual insight. We do if you choose to learn, right? Talk about that all the time. It's about embodying that insight in every part of your life. And this means new awareness, new perspectives, and yes, new challenges. So think of it as leveling up in a video game, right? Each new level comes with tougher enemies to face, but also greater rewards. And this is what I was talking with you about at the top of this episode is, it's hard. This shit is hard, but it's good. It's good stuff because when you give in to the growth and you take ownership of it and you embrace it and you allow it, it's like who you become. Ooh, it's just delicious, right? So you're growing into somebody who can hold more light, more love, and more power. And so that's why if you've ever heard the saying, new level, new devil, that's exactly what happens in any area of your life, right? Physically, you are hell-bent on becoming more fit, not thinner, but fit and healthier. And so new level, new devil, you've reached a point where you're like, okay, I'm 10 pounds down. That piece of cake looks really good. I just want a bite. And then you go for 2 bites, right? So that it's the temptation. All right. And so when you can recognize that there's always going to be new devils coming at you to try to undermine your progress, then you get to be very conscious creator of your life. And then you allow the expansion to happen and you live in greater alignment with your goals and values. And your light grows brighter and brighter for others to see, use, and feel inspired by. Okay? Now, I want to talk about the dark night of the soul for a minute because this is direct, spiritual growth is directly related to dark nights of the soul. And dark nights of the soul, or a dark night, doesn't just happen once in a person's life. It's impossible as a human being because even though our souls are perfect, our human experience is riddled with imperfection. And we as human beings are imperfect. So we're going to come up against the edge of who we are and have been and who we can become. So I want you to think about dark nights of the soul as coming to the edge. And his spirit just gave me that. That was not a plan, but it's actually kind of cool. It is. And like I also said at the top of this episode, I've been going through a lot of spiritual rearrangement in my life. And I'm grateful that I know enough that that's what's going on. But the human part of me is experiencing, I'm still in it, a dark night of the soul. And I don't believe these things are bad things. I just know that I have been called to be greater. I've been called to be greater. And because of that, I have to let go of, and I want each of you to listen to this because this is what's happening to you when you hit and come up against your devil. When you're stepping into a new level of who you are, a new level of greatness because we are born great. You are going to be put through the ringer. Who you believe you are is going to be questioned. How you relate to others is going to be a question. How you move forward is going to be a question in every part of your life. This is Dark Night of the Soul. You're looking at your shadows, all the stuff that you haven't faced, the relationships you need to let go of, the habits, the beliefs, the thoughts, the ones that are deeply ingrained that you say you let go of, but they keep coming up. Dark Night of the Soul, coming to the edge. And so I've been in this place many times in my life, and I believe any listener who's listening now, you've been there too. It's almost like you're looking at your life and you're like, I don't understand what's happening. I don't feel plugged in. I don't know what to expect, and I don't know what next steps to take. All I know is that I feel shitty, and I don't want to feel shitty, right? So that's kind of what I've been going through. So I don't know if you have, but that is Dark Night of the Soul. And the beautiful part is coming to the edge. And when you jump, when you surrender, when you let go of the shit that doesn't serve you anymore, then you get to meet a new path. And then you come up against a new edge at some point. So until I learned that my body was also going through a process of expansion, I would often just imagine, like I said, that I caught a cold or something. But when we go through an ascension, an expansion, this edge, we meet the edge, our mind, thoughts, beliefs, etc., they'll often shift far before our body aligns with those changes. That's what your body is doing. It's getting caught up. It's letting you know what? You have, in your mind, perhaps human, you have put aside or buried the shit you need to deal with. And the body speaks to you through pain and discomfort of stuff that you are that's still living in your energy body, right? And so, unless and until you decide to explore what your body is telling you, you're just going to be in a lot of physical pain. And it's going to get worse because the more you don't deal with things, the deeper the pain, the sharper the pain. So our bodies have to catch up with the upgrades that we are experiencing psychologically and emotionally and spiritually. So for example, when I've learned a lesson or experienced system upgrades from my guides, I would be personally aware of that happening, right? But then maybe a week or so later, I'd have physical symptoms that I wouldn't initially connect to the upgrade, right? It's remaining energy that I have to get rid of so I can let that version of who I am go and step into the new version that's required of me to meet this new edge. So my throat may be sore, my stomach might be uncomfortable, the bones in my body might ache, headaches, and I'm going to go through a whole specific list of things that are going on. Now, I do say this caveat, always consult a medical professional. Always go to your doctor. It could be ascension symptoms, but it also could be an actual thing that your body's suffering from. So I always say, get it medically eliminated first. And then if it's still around, then we know what we're dealing with, which is either a misdiagnosis medically or actual energy that you need to deal with, right? I felt nauseous. I felt sick. I felt exhausted. Insomnia. I don't think I have slept in 2 weeks a full night. I'm very affected by the moon. So I don't know about you, but it's just been a whole hell of a lot of fun going through this upgrade. So now, like I said, it's true we can catch bugs, and they're unrelated to our expansion and ascension. But if you're cognizant enough and you know your body and you know what's typical and atypical, you know that you've been struggling with something. Like, this is the key. If you know you've been struggling with something, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, financially, physically, or there's been a challenge in your life that maybe you haven't moved through yet, or that you're trying to move through, or maybe you have moved through. Your body is your messenger, And it needs to catch up with all of the internal, psychological, and psychic work and progress that you've done in the spiritual realm. Okay? So I want to talk about some other ways that it shows up in your body, right? Your body, mind, and spirit. So here's some key signs. So we have some physical symptoms. In addition to the ones I mentioned, you can look out for, when you've been through an event. Here are some of them officially. Fatigue or insomnia, like I mentioned. Your energy is recalibrating. So you've got to rest. Like I'm a doer, and I believe most of you are doers too. And so when we have been kind of programmed to achieve, do, it's very difficult to give credence to our body, right? We have to push through the tired. We have to push through the pain. We have to push through the sickness. And I can tell you that your best choice, and I know you could, majority of the people, you work for other people, so it's not like you could just take a nap. But maybe you can go into the bathroom and take a quick 5-10 minute nap, set your timer, or go out to your car during lunch, right? Find a way to honor your body's needs, okay? Body aches and tensions, old energies are leaving your system. And this often manifests, like I talked about, as back pain, neck pain, or joint discomfort. When you are at the edge, you're going to feel all these things. Sensitivity to light, sound, and crowds. You're becoming more attuned to subtle energies. Fluctuations in appetite or weight. Your body is adjusting to higher vibrations. Digestive upsets. This is your solar plexus chakra processing emotions. There is a great book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And in that book, she has a section that goes over all the physical symptoms, how your body communicates with you. So if you've never heard of that book, y'all, it is a classic. Go get it. You Can Heal Your Life. And this is all connected to your body and how your body communicates with you. So if you have an issue that you struggle with, go look that up, because it's going to be related to some sort of emotion or challenge or trauma. Okay? Now, emotional symptoms. You might experience mood swings and you're releasing stored emotions. One moment you might be pissed off, the other moment you might be bawling your eyes out, and then the other moment you might be fine. It's normal to go up and down and all around as you're expanding. You may experience some anxiety and fear as you step into the unknown. And that's where your ego is going to come up against you, right? New level, new devil. Your ego's all about being safe. And it's going to go, oh, no, no, no. We can't do something that we don't know what's going to happen. Oh, no. And you've got to be able to be strong enough and talk to your ego and say, dude, stop. Go away. I'm not listening to you. New edge, new edge, new edge. Thumbs up to the new edge. You might feel lost or disconnected. I talked about that before, that's something that recently I've experienced. And this is the void. It's like you've got one foot in the past and one foot getting ready to step into the future. It's the in-between space where the transformation happens. And sometimes it can happen in a moment. Sometimes it can happen in months. It can take months. It can take years, right? So just be aware of what this is. Mental symptoms, racing thoughts, right? Your mind is trying to keep up with your new awareness. Difficulty focusing. This often occurs as your third eye opens, shifting your perception. Heightened intuition. You may suddenly know things without logical explanation. Those are the cool things. I love that. Spiritual symptoms, some of those are synchronicities, right? Repeated numbers, symbols, and coincidences appear. I don't know about you, but as a seer, I get messages through numbers all the time. My clock and car tags. All the time through car tags. Vivid dreams, nightmares, your subconscious is processing deeply. And I highly suggest that if you can, keep a notebook and a pen with a light right next to your bed so you can write down your dreams, where you're feeling pulled towards new practices too. That's a spiritual symptom. Where you're drawn to meditation, yoga, divination, right? And that divination can be uh, anything from tarot to anything else that's spiritual, pendulums, crystals, anything. Journaling, you're drawn to tools that support your growth. Okay. I could go, this talking about all this stuff really lights me up. So I could go really deep into all of these. But for the sake of our time today, I'm just going to leave them as I've shared them. And if you'd like me to go into greater detail in another episode of something in particular, send me an email at support@janisrcohen.com. support@janisrcohen.com. And just share your ideas with me, what you'd like to hear, because I'd love to be able to share what you'd like to hear. Now, there are some strategies to support your expansion that I want you to hear. The first thing, I've talked about this, honor your body. When your body is exhausted, there is nothing better than a 15, 20-minute cat nap. That can change the game. I've had to do that. Where in between clients, I may lay on my floor. I'll set my timer. I'll lay on my floor and just close my eyes and breathe. Hydrate. Drink water. It helps flush out toxins and supports the energy flow. Grounding practices. Walking barefoot on the earth, eating grounding foods like root vegetables. Notice what your body is craving also, right? The foods that you're called to eat. Look at that. Like if we're called to a lot of carbs, we're feeling very carby. Well, you could be doing a lot of spiritual work while you're sleeping. So your body is needing to get more energy, right? That happened to me. And I was just moving on a higher plane, right? Grounding meditations too. And also earthing. Go outside, take shoes off. I know it's really cold in most places, but when the weather warms up, go walk barefoot in the grass. Oh, it's just a beautiful feeling. Now, second thing is process your emotions. Don't just sit with them and feel them. Work through them, journal them, write them down, release them. Really get honest with yourself. Get it all out. Cry. I've done that too. When the tension has become too much, when I'm at the edge, I cry and it just feels good. Another thing is if you hit things like a pillow, I tell people do this all the time. If you have an area where you have like a bat and you want to go hit the ground or a tree, if you have boxing gloves, go box, right? Stuff like that. And seek support. Talk to somebody that you feel like can actually help you, not who is going to just collude with you and make you feel good for feeling bad. A therapist, a coach, a trusted friend who has navigated maybe these waters before. And calm your mind. This is a huge piece. And when we're at the edge, it's very difficult because our anxiety is kind of high. And we're not regulated. Our body is not regulated. Our nervous system is not regulated. So the goal here is to regulate your nervous system so that your body feels safe. So meditation, breathing, focusing on your breath, trying guided meditations is great. Taking breaks from social media and screen time, listening to calming music, taking a walk in nature, drawing, saying things to yourself, and I've talked to you about this, these affirmations, replacing fearful thoughts for empowering ones. Now, this is a huge one. When you calm your mind, it's important for you to kind of learn how to recognize what belief you're practicing at that point. And then be able to say, everything is always working out for me because I choose to know and believe that. I talked about this in a previous podcast. It's magical. Now, you can deepen your spiritual practices. You can clear your energy using sage, Palo Santo, or sound baths, right? Intuition building, you can pull oracle cards. This is the divination. Automatic writing, or just sit in silence. And then, of course, there's a practice of gratitude, shifting your focus from what's uncomfortable to what's working, because you choose to know and believe that everything is always working out for you, that this pain is temporary, that this confusion will clear up, that you're not always going to be in the in-between. And I've had to tell myself that because I know that's the truth. So I want to share a quick story, because when I was going through my own spiritual expansion at one point in my life, I've been there many, many times, I experienced a sense of fatigue. And I would get several hours of sleep, but wake up exhausted, right? I might get 6, 7 hours of sleep, but I'd wake up exhausted because I was doing so much work in my sleep, and I didn't understand that that was what was happening. I'd have vivid dreams, and some I could remember, and most of them I couldn't. But I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. It was the strangest thing. It was the void. And so I've experienced that many times in my life. And I don't criticize that. It's not a bad thing. It feels terribly uncomfortable. But if you are how do I say this? I'm going to say this. If you're truly invested in your own spiritual growth, you're going to know that these experiences are coming, the void, the difficulty, the meeting the edge, and you're going to go, okay, I know what this is. My human part of me can't stand it, drives me nuts, but the soul of me knows this is what I need to go through, right? So even though the physical stuff is hard, I leaned into my spiritual practices, journaling and meditation and pulling cards and really helping my nervous system calm down so that I could kind of try to understand what was going on. So your discomfort is temporary, but the growth you're stepping into is permanent. That's the beauty of it. So spiritual expansion, it's not easy. And the more aware you are of yourself, your mind and your body, the easier it's going to be to put the puzzle pieces together when you're going through a spiritual expansion, aka spiritual awakening. But I'm telling you, it's worth it. I know that when I'm out of this space, what's on the other side is going to be even more insanely amazing than I ever thought possible, because we can't outthink ourselves. We can dream big, right? Have these lofty goals, but God, the universe has even better and bigger goals for us. So every physical symptom, emotional upheaval, and mental challenge is just proof that you're growing. This is good stuff. You're becoming somebody who can hold more light, love, and authenticity. And that's where we're all headed. The goal is to be happy by being the truth of who you are, speaking the truth of who you are, embodying the truth of who you are. And when you do that, light and love always follow. So take it one day at a time, be gentle with yourself, and remember, you're not alone. Every human being goes through this. I'm here for you. The community is here for you. And everybody's doing this walk, right? So if you found this episode helpful, I hope you have. Please share it with somebody who might need to hear this, right? And please don't forget, subscribe. And I would love for you to rate and write a note on my podcast. That would be lovely. And of course, be a part of my email list by heading to janisrcohen.com and getting on the mailing list. And until next time, I wish you a blessed day, a wonderful week, and as always, live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend. And be sure to give us some stars and a favorable review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in.